Hey there, Brewberries. What's up, and welcome to the final episode of the Brew and Build Season 1 World Tour. Today we have two areas to explore. There is one shoot off of the Steampunk City, and that's why we are currently here. And then there is the final area that we had initially started. That was probably the biggest build that we were ever going to do. And then that will have to do it. So I wanted to start here just to show you exactly how to get to it if you are exploring this world. So we're here at the Steampunk City. And the way you actually get here is so you're here next to the wool farm, and you just fly literally straight this direction for 1,000 blocks or something, and then you'll be there. So I'm going to fly over there, and then we'll start exploring. Ah, yes, here we are. Here we are in, well, I don't remember. I think this is like Netherport Bay or something like that, the Netherport City. This is like a shoot off of the Steampunk City, so similar build styles, but a little bit different. But it still has steampunk influences, as you can tell by the flying helicopter build over there. This area is probably one of my favorite in terms of the concept of it. I thought it was a really cool, there's a bunch of cool builds here. This is where we initially started our world in this section. At least this is our starting house. There's a little kind of build into this little chunk of land here. I thought it was kind of a fun concept to do. The whole build is centered around this, which is how we were explaining how the Steampunk City actually got around. And so the whole concept was, this is when we were doing the Nether update was happening. And so I wanted to bring that into the lore. And so the whole idea was like they made this portal. They had kind of discovered this whole concept of like the Nether and how to, and that it is like a fast travel system. Essentially, it was explaining why, like, when you go into the Nether, you travel faster in a weird way. And so the idea was like they built this giant portal to fly their airships through to easily transport their goods, not necessarily more safely, but more quickly and efficiently. So they built this gigantic tower, which is using like power and stuff. And that's what this whole build is like, powered by steam and all that. And so we never fully finished it or anything, but the end concept was there. And I thought it had like a really cool mountainside that just really needed to be. And I want to show you a creative version of this world that has this more fleshed out at the end of this video, because I think it'll show you like the end concept. I just never got around to it in survival. But this is a really cool build. I think like it's just such a mega portal. And I am really just pleased with it. But we're going to explore the town first. We had this kind of cool little walkway build here, very green feeling. And then we had just kind of a cool little walkway up here. And this was like the first house we built. I think we may have built the facades of these houses first. I don't remember, but this was just like a writer's house. And so he's got like a really cool garden area, a leather station or something like that over here. And so he's got just like a really fun little garden area here. Just got a cool little garden area here that I thought was really fun, especially with the alliums being super tall now. I think that's really cool. I don't even think we did the interior here, did we? We did the floors, and that's about it, but you can kind of explore around. There are stairs and stuff that go all the way up, and then there was a tower as to where he could write. But the cool thing was this actually had a writing station right here, and so this is where the dude would be writing. There is this portal at the bay, the door to all trade, a portal whooshing, uncovered, not made, a power pulsing, best left forgotten, a tower creeping. It has doomed our kin, a downfall looming. And that is The Songs of the Sea by Lemony Snicker. And I just thought that was kind of fun. So it's just him writing about the transpirings. And there's this whole lore stuff we were going to get into about the Nether kind of seeping out and starting to kind of like be at war with the people. But never got around to that. And so that's kind of the only lore concept there. And then, yeah, so we have a fun little build here with just some cliff sides. And then this was going to be like the main town area where all the main shops and stuff were. So we have a blacksmith build, though, and I think this is a really interesting, cool build style. So using mushroom blocks for one, and then this was going to be a gigantic inn. But this is like the most complete of the buildings itself. Big, huge hangover, and just like Yeah, just massive hangover. And so this is the blacksmith shop where you can buy and sell all sorts of blacksmith goodies. And then there's just like all these armor stands and stuff. And then the actual interior is fully complete, I believe, because this is storage for the blacksmith, which you go on up here. There is this area, which is kind of like a seating area. But then this is like the armored area for all the different materials the blacksmith has. And so this is where a crane goes for that. It's like right there that you can see. Goes down to the forge area. This is where all the goodies are. Just double security, super secure. Iron for iron that's like for smelting and stuff is kept up here. This whole chain mechanism thing for this sort of crane thing is really interesting. And then we've got the upstairs interior, which is entirely empty because we don't do interiors here. And if we come down this way, we have the blacksmith's like forge area that's outside, kind of a three brother scenario type of thing. So we've got kind of a crane area here. There's an enchanting sort of setup here. Like one brother may have been good at enchanting. So we've got kind of like a cool nether portal thing back there. Looks pretty cool. I don't know if this is 30 levels or not, but we'll say it is. This is where most of the trading would happen. This is kind of like the stall to which they would be selling their goods and stuff. And so they're kind of predominantly focused on selling like the main tools that maybe the townsfolk would need. They don't necessarily need to sell armor and all that sort of stuff because they're not like at war or anything like that. So it's kind of a cool little stall area here. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. And then we've got the area where the actual like blacksmith works. And so one of the brothers that is the actual smith, they've got it set up to use the lava from the nether itself to be like funneling the lava from the nether into this forge area and into their blast furnace. You can see there is also a portal back there pulling lava out. And so it's like a big blast furnace using lava powered from the nether. And then this is like the actual forge itself. I thought this was a really cool concept. I really, really like the Nether Forge idea. I think it's really fun. And then if we make it on back here, this is a market area that's actually pretty cool. And it's got a fun little custom tree area and then some things like selling some interesting like soups and stuff, some weird soupy things, some melons, pumpkins and stuff, fish and all the like. Books, all sorts of goodies, and a fun little custom tree. This was actually really fun to do, trying to experiment with gradients with the different leaves. So using spruce and then using oak and then using birch just to kind of make like a little bit of a gradient factor going on. I thought that was kind of a cool concept. And then just all sorts of things like bone meal, some interesting like oddities type of shop, and then honey. And it's a really fun concept. And then it was going to open up into this big, gigantic inn. And kind of sad that I never actually got to finishing this. It was just so gargantuan. It was kind of hard to picture what the end result would be. But we definitely, I think this is a style that I would love to build in again. Doing like this in another world would be really cool because I think I was just getting burnt out a bit on the game itself. And then we'll take a look-see at that. This is my favorite build of all time. It is simply my favorite. I really love the concept. I think it's like you have to get super far away to actually be able to see just how big the inn was going to be, but it was a really cool concept. I really love it. And this is the first kind of build that we actually did here. This is a melon and pumpkin farm for villager trading, and it was a really fun concept. It's got melons all ringing around the outside, and then this is the actual farm itself, just a smaller version of what's in the Steampunk City. This was actually first compared to the Steampunk City's big giant one. That one was used predominantly for bone meal. And if you follow this pathway all the way down over here, this is how you get access to the melon and pumpkin farm. And it's not working currently because the thing is messed up, but it would have melons and pumpkins and it would lead into automatic, well, not automatic composting, I guess. I would have to put it in here and it would compost down and stuff, but it was eventually going to be automatic. And there was going to be much more to this. It was going to expand out this way. You could see I started making a kind of a house design area here. We had some roads that were going to go this way and a road that was going to go this way, but we just never got around to it. And so we just kind of made this area and then had to leave because, yeah, just kind of the way it goes. Kind of got tired of building in this area. I think this kind of wore me out a bit. So I moved on and built this guy, which was really fun to build. But let's walk around. Well, let's explore over here because I was going to expand the city and make kind of a more country area to kind of juxtapose the giant city buildings with a more rural steampunk style. And this is a much more doable, much more interesting build style, I think. That I would actually really like to do. So I was going to have it so there was going to be like a bridge that came across here. This was all going to expand out, and we did kind of this custom little peninsula landscapey thing. And it was going to kind of come around here and just take up this island area. And there was going to be this sort of interesting thing. And this is where I wanted to get some bee nests going. And so we did some more like steampunky style. And this is kind of the house. And I think this is just such an interesting style. I really like this. Is probably one of my favorite house styles because it's just such an interesting palette. It's like using the kelp block, using the cartography table, and using this jungle granite brick texture on the outside, and then using just a whole bunch of wood. And I don't know, it's just super cool. Inside is actually fully done as well. So the concept of it is that this guy is making like this honey aromas or something like that. And so we also using blackstone and gilded blackstone to make it feel like it's kind of like dripping honey all over. And this funnels honey in from the honey farm over there. And then there's also a little bit of a bedroom here. And that's about it for that house. And then this, you come up the pathway here, and you've got these two big pipes here that funnel into this pipe. And that is where this whole thing came from, that it's like funneling in. Two of these pipes are funneling in, and then potentially one funnels out. And I thought that was a really kind of cool concept. And then this is the bee farm, the honey farm, and it's actually kind of an automated honey farm with a little bit of an interesting interior. Really love the Podzol Blackstone sort of mixture. I think it looks really cool. And then yeah, we had some honey bottles and stuff here, and don't know if I think there are bees in here, but it's an automatic kind of honey farm thing, and it's really quite cool. I really like this greenhouse style. I think it looks really cool. And so this is what the build looks like on the outside. It's a better steampunk style, I think, than what we initially went with. This actually feels much more industrial feeling, and I think it's a really cool. And then the kind of idea is like they also are drawing water to power the steam stuff. So there's like this like big pipe that's sucking up water from the ocean and powering everything. So I think this would have been a really cool type of just separated out style that I would love to bring back for season 2 as well. I know I keep saying that, but there's so many things in this world that I started and then just started late in the game and wanted to continue, but was just kind of getting burnt out on the world itself. So then if we actually come down this way, this is probably one of the more unique builds that we've got. This is like a cargo area, big cargo crate area. These are all giant cargo crates that I came up with, and that's one of the reasons why the cartography table actually got its texture rechange. But the idea was this was able to fly. We were going to potentially have like flying ships and stuff that didn't have to necessarily dock. And so they were like, how can we get these materials up to the flying ships without them having to dock and all that? And so what I was doing was making it so this like flying steampunk helicopter thing could fly up and grab a hold with this big crane mechanism and grab a hold of this sort of crate thing. And then it would just have like materials and stuff inside of it. And this one actually, I was going to shove a villager in because some of these are actually, there's like a little bit of a village going on, like I guess a peasant's village in a sense. Either the like low life's criminal people were staying here, or the people that just simply don't have a lot of money were staying in this area and had made like a home for themselves. So all of these, pretty much all these at least, have stuff kind of piled up in them, and they're kind of closed off like this. But then if you follow kind of this area here, you go through, and then there's this little tiny, it's like a village within a village. And I think it's really a fun thing. It's like you kind of stumble upon this area where it's like, oh, people are living here, and there's like this rickety way of getting up. You can climb up a ladder here, and then you've got like this sitting area here, and then you can kind of just view out. Of course, it's like not super hidden or anything, but Then there's like this area here with a little bit of a, maybe I can get this in there. There we go. A little bit of a sleeping mat and stuff. I thought it was just a really fun concept. It's just a cool concept. I think like if you can throw some of this type of stuff into your world, it just makes it better because it just adds like a little bit of a little nook and cranny area that you can kind of get into and just explore. And so that's why that one has like a bed and stuff, as if like it got picked off the top. And so they recommend anyone living here, they recommend going into the ones that are beneath the stacks. And this guy moved into an upper one, and he's being whisked away, unbeknownst to the people that are doing the whisking. And this is a small thing, but I just really wanted to show the design of the dock area. I think this is really fun concept that it's just, I don't know, I just really like it. It's really cool. It's really inspired by Jancy. If you've ever seen Jancy, you'll recognize kind of like this dock style. And so very inspired by him. And then I kind of took it and ran with it and made it my own. And then if we come over here, this is like supposed to be the reasoning for having a giant lighthouse for an area like this. There's this little island here that I decided to expand upon and bring up and make a bit bigger. And I wanted to give a little bit of a background as to why this lighthouse exists and why it's like this town has become bigger and more industrial. And so essentially it's like the people have found this kind of cool mountain area that was going to work well for their sort of portal needs. And as this grew and this sort of town grew, they needed a bigger lighthouse. And so this is the OG lighthouse that's a little bit haunted. And so there's like this old, just overgrown island that people have access to that's kind of like a park, kind of like an overgrown sort of scary place. And so this is the old like lighthouse keepers house, very ruin-esque. Ruin things are just super fun to build, I've found. And it's kind of cool because it's got a, if it turns to night, it's, I don't know if the redstone's still working, but there's this redstone clock that goes through and actually lights this ghost tower thing. So if we set the time to night, we'll be able to see it in action. Yeah, there we go. And it's using the Soulfire campfire, so it's like a little bit kind of ominous feeling. It's like the light blue ominous feel. And so it's just like at night is when I wanted it to feel like at night you could kind of see the old flame that haunts it. And I thought it was kind of a fun concept. This is also a really cool effect in shaders because the portal is just absolutely massive and the sun shines directly through it right now because there's no mountain behind it. You get this like prismatic purple color that just shines through. Really fun. Very much a shaders thing, but it's a really fun effect. But all right, let's go ahead and take a look-see at this guy. This is probably my absolute favorite build to date. And are you a wolf? Oh, hey, Mavris. You're sitting in the beanbag right next to me right now. I meant to do a retexture of you, but we'll get that worked out. But this is a really cool build that I thought, I don't know. I just spent so much time planning this one out, and I think it shows because I think it is such a cool idea. So the idea was like you could come up here and then this would take you. I needed a way to get up onto this level and connect this area up here a bit more. And so we were going to expand out the landscape here. We had started clearing trees and stuff, and we were expand out here. And just make pretty much this is like a little bit of an island area here, and we were going to just expand the city out this entire area. And then this is how that like connection piece from down there to up here worked. And so then you can either go that way or you can go up here, and we can either enter via there or we can go up this way, and then you can enter here, and there's a bubble elevator that takes you all the way to the top. The interior of the actual lighthouse is not done, as you can tell. And that I just didn't really think that was necessary. The house itself is actually fully done, and we're down here. So before we take the bubble elevator, let's take a look-see at the house. So you come up here, and you're greeted with this area, just kind of like a small area that I was thinking maybe would be storage or something. It's entirely non-spawnable. I don't really know why I did that, but it works. It's kind of just like a small bed area that I used whenever I was down here, but nothing really particularly interesting. But you come up in here and boom, fully done interior. And I think it's really cool. So we've got a really nice kitchen area with some like cookbooks, some nice shelving and stuff, really big windows. Love the windows in this build. I think it's really cool. Some just planters and stuff up there. And then we've got a bedroom right here. Very, very simple, nothing too crazy. And then we got the loo right here. So we got a toilet, big toilet paper roll. And we have just, place to go. And number 2 or number 1, if you're just feeling a little bit of liquid instead of a solid. And then you come in here. Simple bedroom here that leads out to the planters. Got to water them. And same thing can be said here. It's very mirrored. It's just pretty simple. And then planter over here. And if we keep on going up, we are brought to this massive library with this wonderful, wonderful mirror. And I absolutely love it. Some of you may not have realized, but I changed the sand texture to be just a little bit more saturated than the sandstone. And I don't really notice it. I mainly did it because my original overlay texture was a little more saturated. And so I just matched it to the overlay instead of changing the overlay texture itself, because that's a little bit more tedious than the other stuff. I do think I'm going to get rid of the overlays on all the woods because I don't think that that's really that necessary. But I will keep it onto the sands. But you got this really great window that you can view the out, and then you have this just big, grand library. There's some storage here with some shelves, like filing cabinets that have their shelves kind of popped out. Thought that was a cool concept. And then you have this balcony right here that's fun to enjoy. And you've got like a little bit of a table and stuff. You can just enjoy the view of the giant nether portal. It's a really, really cool build. I really love it. You can wander all the way up here, a little reading nook area, or you can come up here and then you have access to all of these upper books. And then you've got even further access here. And then you keep on going and boom. Now you're into this like Netherport study research room. So this is kind of like a scientist type room or something. It's interesting. I don't remember exactly the lore behind it, but we made these kind of cool trees that are using the, what are these? Not weeping vines, the twisting vines. These are the weeping vines. And I thought it was kind of just cool. It's just bringing in a study area for the new nether stuff that the people may be encountering while exploring the nether. And it's just a really cool thing. And it's got like really great windows and stuff, really recessed. And then you have access to here. But we're going to take the elevator all the way up because that's easier. And so if we go on up here, woo, now we're here. Not really anything too particularly crazy. There is an actual working lighthouse system up there. But if you get up here, you've got a really just cool rotating around type of patio area. Not anything, didn't put any furniture and stuff up here because, I mean, the goal of it is more just to be able to have access to the lighthouse itself, to like the light itself. Is there a ladder in here or no? I don't think so. But you also have one up here, which gives better access to the lighthouse. You can turn it on or off. The switch locks the hoppers to block the item that is kind of rotating through. And overall, I think it looks really cool. This is my favorite build, I think, to date, because of how just complete it looks and how crazy cool it really honestly looks. I think it's just absolutely amazing. So I don't normally toot my horn on this type of build, but I do gotta say this is a home run. I think this is a super, super cool build. There's also a really cool view. You can see both the old and the new from this area here, and I think it's just absolutely crazy. Like, I gotta take a screenshot. So some final stuff to show real quick before we jump into the other version of this world to look at the more complete area. This is just a pathway to get up to the second area of the town, the second floor of the town that we were going to do, and then also to get access to the actual like mountainside. And I was going to make a factory and stuff that went on the inside of the mountain, but we never got around to it because we moved on to, I think we went back to the steampunk city, but this was going to be a second platform to just have a few houses and stuff. And we were just going to expand out to the top of this mountain. So not really too much bigger, but just never fully completed it. And then there's a pathway that leads on up here. We were going to do something here. I can't quite remember, but we were going to do like an observatory here or on top. but never actually finished it out. And then this is a working elevator. I forget how it works. I think this goes up to, I don't know. Let's see where this goes. And now we're just riding it. This may just lead right on up to this level. Yeah, so this is going to give access to this area, which is kind of like a little hot springs area. So that was going to be like a man-made hot springs, but then I never figured out how to do it. And then this, oh yeah, I think it was like first floor and then second floor. I managed to have the texture be correct here. And so this should lead us all the way up. It's certainly not the fastest machine in the world, but it gets the job done. This is the type of stuff that I really like about the Steampunk City stuff, is that it's just super technical, and I don't do a lot of technicality type stuff, but this was a really fun thing to do. And so we were going to have access on the mountaintop here to do some more building and stuff, do an observatory up here, but again, theme of this place is just never got around to it. Did a good amount of building and stuff, but the end scope of it was just a little bit bigger than I could maintain a little bit of, I don't know, desire to keep building here. But let's go check the other version of this world. I think I still have it on this computer because it is quite a cool one. So you can tell this is a much older creative world, creative version of our world. To where I was kind of just figuring out planning and stuff, and then also doing this. So this is a lot more complete version. This is much more what I would have done to this portal if I had time. So I was planning out some cool stuff. We had this made. This was kind of where the first original idea came from. And then I wanted to put these connecting pipes up to make it look much more steampunky, like there's steam pipes going up and through and stuff. I thought that was a really cool idea. But then the left side is really where all the cool stuff comes in. So there was like a little circle in the original world, in the actual world. And then this was going to be just a big pipe that was supposed to be like drawing water, massive amounts of water to power this huge water wheel. And I thought that was a really cool concept. And then it's like as if the pipe would go into the mountain and feed up in. And so then the water would be churned through and would actually like be turning this gigantic water wheel type of thing that I thought it was a really, really fun thing to design. But it's like it's a different style of water wheel than like water falling on it. It's actually water flowing underneath and pushing it to spin under. And I thought that was a really cool concept to do. And so this is what the kind of the water wheel looks like at the top. And then there's some extra little pipes and odds and ends and stuff. And then was starting to experiment around with what the top could look like with a giant sort of telescope and stuff on top. Didn't really go along with that, but I thought that was really cool. That's what the little island looked like before we built on it. That's fun. And I think honestly, that's it. I don't think there's really anything else in this creative world that I built to test things out. I'm going to explore around and see based on our other areas to see if there's anything I did build out. But I don't really think there is. So the last place we're going to take a look at is the absolute most unfinished, but also the probably actually is the biggest project that we were going to tackle. But it was right near the end of the season when I was really just getting burnt out. And that requires us to go back to this area here. And we're going to be taking a trip over to what is marked as the Heroes Guild. This is where we were going to be going. The Heroes Guild is going to happen in Season 2. I just want to do a bit more planning about it because I have some good ideas and stuff, but it doesn't entail nearly as much landscaping as we were planning on doing. But let's just take a trip over to the Heroes Guild area. So you'll be taken to this platform here, and you may be like, there's absolutely nothing here. Well, the render distance isn't big enough, but this is the start of where we were. There's a water chute drop here if you want, and it'll take you on down to this area, which is where we were storing all sorts of goodies and stuff. And this is kind of the last area that we were working in this world. And what was going to be happening was we were going to be making a giant custom landscape. And so there's very much a lot that is unfinished. But this cliff section right here that does have some texture stuff, this is what all the cliffs were going to end up looking like. This is really where we started off. These stone areas, the reason they're not textured is they were going to be covered in water, and we were going to be doing some extra little cliffy bits on them, so there was no need to actually do any sort of texture variation on them. They were going to be 2 giant waterfalls, and the river size was going to be as wide as them. And so this is where we kind of left this area off. This is a project that I really am still inspired to do. I just don't think that I could do it in this world. I don't know if that makes any sense. Um, I think that I would just need to do it in a different manner than doing it over like a jungle and stuff. I picked the jungle because I really like the lush leaves, the lush green color. I think this would be something that would need to be scaled back a bit and done on like a mushroom island style of thing, or a couple mushroom islands or something. And I think that could be still just as impressive, just not quite as big. So the idea was this whole chunk was going to be just river. It was going to be this giant, huge, wide river. This diagonal bit was going to be a gigantic bridge that was crossing it. And so there was going to be land over here. And essentially the goal was to cover the entire jungle landscape. And we took a big crack at it. I mean, this was probably like 50, 60, 70, 80 hours of work of just laying down blocks, like laying down stone to then have gravel on top. And this is where the gravel texture actually came from, as well, because I wanted to have like a very rocky gravel. And I thought a rocky dirt gravel instead of just like the gray, and that's where that texture came from. Was really inspired by this, and I'm really happy with where we landed on the gravel texture itself. So we had this bridge that was going to come across, so there's going to be land over there, a gigantic river, and this plateau area was actually going to be where the town was. It was going to be centered between, so there's 2 big waterfalls here, and there were going to be 2 mirrored waterfalls on this side as well, kind of like along this area. So this was going to be surrounded by waterfalls, and this was going to be connected up as well. This is going to be water kind of sitting here, pooling, and potentially falling down that way, but it was going to mainly be kind of cliff. And we started and got the plateau built, and then did the town layout. And then this is around the time that I was really starting to get burnt out. And so we did the town layout, did the build style, and I even tried to keep going and do another build with a little bit of a different block palette for the wall, and kind of just fell off from there because I just started really getting burnt out, and really just needed to take a break. So this is where we left it off. I really love this build style. I think this one is definitely going to make a comeback. I know I've said that on a few, but this one is pretty much guaranteed because we didn't get to do much with it. There is no actual build style going on outside of these 2 houses. And so I think we're going to have to do something with this down the road, in season 2, because I really do like how this looks. So we were going to have blue and orange as being kind of like the primary colors. We retextured the sandstone as well to be a little bit more shingly like, because I really do think that that looks really nice. And so we've got this just really cool fantasy style going on with a whole bunch of vegetation and lushness. And the houses and stuff are all going to expand. This plateau thing was going to have kind of like a sandy beach area right around here. And so it was going to come down this area, and this was going to be like the waterfront access. And so I had started expanding upon the grass and stuff. There's going to be kind of grass all the way down into a sandy area. There's going to be a bridge that went to a little bit of an island area. That's what that circle is for. It was just going to be a really, really cool, big project. And I hate to see it go. This is probably one of the things that I wish I would have started much, much earlier and had kind of the gumption to do. But I think this is a really cool indicator to me as to like where we've progressed as builders, because I would not have even considered tackling something like this in the town of Moore. Like, I just simply didn't have the brain capacity to think about planning a town like this, planning a gigantic build like this. I just didn't have that sort of like desire. And I very much have that desire now. And I think that this was the start of what I think is going to be a really cool season 2 for Brew and Build, because this is the type of stuff I want to do. I just have a better idea as to how to approach it in a much more reasonable way. And I also just think that I'm in a better headspace when it comes to building this stuff. And just to show you just exactly how big this was going to be. So this was all going to be, it was going to be like kind of a river area here, this big giant wide area. And this was actually going to be huge, a huge giant lake that extended, if we keep on going, was going to extend all the way over here. And this was going to be land, and there was going to be kind of some mountains and stuff in the background here. Then we didn't really get it. So you can see it's like out of render distance is where the actual town was going to be. This was all going to be like a deep lake. And so we were going to have to do a lot of clearing and stuff over the jungle. Really wasn't a smart idea to do the jungle. I really wanted the color of the leaves, but didn't actually end up doing that. Should have honestly just used this lake as the starting point and just done the mountains behind it and just kind of lived with the Minecraft terrain rather than doing this custom stuff all the way up in the sky. But I think it was a really cool concept. Really gave me a lot of inspiration for what to do in season 2, and I am really excited for it. I think it's going to be a really, really fun time. But that is going to have to do it for this world tour. This is the final stop, and it is definitely the most unfinished stop, but I think it shows the most building prowess, and I think it has it's definitely the like point of, yes, it's unfinished, but it shows exactly where my head is at as a builder and where I want to go. And so I think it's going to be a really fun time in season 2, because I have this type of concept, but in a much, much better approach to it. I think it's going to be really good. That's also why I kind of wanted to restart, was just because it'll help me reset my mind on this type of stuff. And I'm really, really looking forward to doing something like this. So this build style definitely going to be coming around again. And yeah, just look forward to that. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this sort of broken down world tour. I hope you enjoyed this episode in particular, because these two places that we visited are probably have the coolest builds, I think, in the world. And so the location is also, I should have showed it at least earlier. I'll try and remember it maybe to show it now. And I'll try and also put it in the description as well. But remember that there is a download to this world in the description. It is available actually on my Discord. So there's a link in the description to my Discord to get the download. And so, yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this video, leave a like. And if you're new here and you want to see more of these builds, I mean, we'll be doing them in a whole new world, and it's going to be just as cool and awesome as this. So why don't you go ahead and subscribe? Become a part of the little family we've got going here. And I'll see you guys in the next episode, Brew and Build Season 2. Bye-bye.